Hi there, in this video I'm going to attach the rails for the X and Y axes on this CNC router engraver designed by Olivier. So here I'm starting to drill and tap some holes to take the rails. Well, I get some fantastic tips and advice, and over the past couple of years Dave Ticehurst has provided me with loads of tips, some of which I can remember and some of which I can't, but it's just reminded me of this one. And this is where I'm going to be tapping with an M5 tap, and what his suggestion is where the first 2 or 3 threads are going to go, just open it up at the beginning with an M5 clear drill. So that's a 5.1mm drill bit, and what that does is it enables, when you're tapping, it prevents any sort of metal sort of like moving sort of upwards, and apparently it's a technique that's used on things like gearboxes. As easy as that. Well, they seem to turn out okay. Now these rails are countersunk for countersunk screws, but what I've decided to do is to use these cap edge screws with washers underneath, and that gives me the ability on final assembly to introduce a little bit more finer adjustment, so hopefully that'll be okay. And the good news is that these blocks clear them as well. And you probably can't see it, but I've also used a letter punch just to mark these rails up, so that when I do assemble them, I know I'm assembling them in the right sort of order. So what I'm going to do now is drill and tap the holes in this plate here for a pair of rails. Well, I decided I just couldn't resist having a bit of a trial assembly before drilling and tapping these holes for the rails, and I must say it runs very, very smoothly. Olivier's done a fantastic job with these drawings. Everything just fits perfectly. Nice and rigid, rock solid. So happy with that so far. So this is the drawing that Olivier produced, and what I need to do is to drill and tap these holes to take the rails on this rear plate on the gantry. And this is the drawing of that particular component. Well, it's a good job that I didn't drill and tap these holes prior to getting the rails, because the holes in the rails are different to what was in Olivier's original drawing. But the drawing you've just seen represents the rails that I've received. So I've marked this up sort of fairly roughly, well, reasonably accurately to be honest, but I'll get more accuracy when I use the DRO on the milling machine. So what I've done is run this gauge across this front face, and it seems pretty close. So what I'm going to do now is put an edge finder on here to find the edge, and then I'll repeat the same process down here just to double check, and up here to double check that it's really spot on. Once I've done that, I'll then use an edge finder to find this edge here, and I'll set the DRO to 0, and then I'll find this edge up here, and then I'll divide the result by 2, and that'll put me in the centre position here. So that's the plan. Well, that's coming at just under 6/10 of a thou. Over that distance. So I'm pretty happy with that. So now I'm going to find this left hand edge. So 0 the DRO on the x-axis. And now I need to find this outside edge here. Well, unfortunately my table isn't quite long enough to get to this edge here to use the edge finder. So what I'm going to have to do is go back to the other edge and based upon this edge work out what the centre position is. I mean, this is pretty accurate anyway, the length of this, so it should be close. And then I can position the centre of the mill on that point and use that as the origin, so I can set the X and Y axis to 0, and then I can work out the locations of these points based on the drawing. So I've found this centre line here by moving the X axis to the left by 255 millimeters, and to find the centre point along here, I'll find this edge, 0 the DRO, find that edge, divide the result by 2, and that'll put me in the middle. Well, that's put me spot on centre, so now I can use the drawing to calculate the locations of the M5 holes that need to be drilled and tapped. So this is just a matter of centre drilling and then going round again, drilling and then going round again and tapping, so it's all boring stuff really. So I'll get back to you once I've completed all of that. Well, I must say I hate repetition, but I think that's turned out pretty well, and that was a great tip from Dave Ticehurst to open up the sort of where the first couple of threads will go with an M5 clear drill, and then to tap it. Works really well. So now I need to attach the rails. Well, the rails are fitted okay, so what I need to do now is to make the plate to fit onto these rail blocks. I've just found an email that I forgot about, and I forgot to extract the drawings from it, and this is one of the drawings, and this explains quite a bit more about this component number 11, and that's the rear of it. So it shows you how the rails are going to be attached, and how the ball screw is going to be attached, and that's the front of it. I mean, it's just amazing how Olivier has designed that. So this is the drawing of the plate that needs to be attached to the top of those rail blocks, and to be honest, it's just a lot of sort of drilling and tapping, using exactly the same techniques as I've used previously. So what I've decided to do is to actually machine this off camera. Well, that looks pretty good. There's more work to be done on it. I've marked up the holes for the Z-axis rails, which I've not received yet, so I thought I'd hold off drilling and tapping those just in case that there's a difference. But it's really rigid. Runs smoothly, so I'm very happy so far. Well, I think this machine's now starting to take shape, and I can't believe how well designed it is. I mean, Olivier's done a fantastic job, and all the parts just fit together perfectly. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it interesting, and I hope to see you later.